Hey guys, welcome to Bastion Time. I am your host, Bastion. My first book that I wrote a couple years ago that I sent out, the character was 19, but I thought that was still young adult, but it turns out it was not. And thankfully, I had a couple agents who said, oh, by the way, this is not young adults. This is new adults, which is a genre that publishers don't really care about right now. So it would be very difficult to sell. So if you could rewrite it so that it's either straight up adult, which would take a lot of rewriting because it's not just making the characters age different. That genre means a whole bunch of things. The tone of it has to change dramatically, all kinds of stuff. Or if you could make it young adults, that'd be best. So I did. I rewrote that one from scratch, made him move back in with his mom and still in high school and all that stuff, but that one's on the back burner. And then the next one that I wrote after that was another young adult, but it was a young adult light fantasy contemporary thing with a juvenile plot that after writing it, I was like, you know what? After I wrote it and revised it, I was like, this needs to be middle grade. I need to really lower these characters' ages and take out some of the naughtiness, and this needs to be middle grade. And so I rewrote that one from scratch as middle grade, and then I sent that one out to a bunch of agents who then told me, you know what, this reads a little old for middle grade. And I was like, ugh, I can't win with this one. So now I'm considering, when I have no more books to write and I have no more ideas, rewriting that one from scratch again, back to young adult, but incorporating a lot of the plot changes that I made, because there was also, I had some issues after the fact with some of the plots, made me feel a little icky. So and so now I've done away with all of that for the middle grade version, and now I'm thinking, actually, as a young adult, that works even better that way. So, and I can already think of all kinds of changes. So I want to rewrite. Well, frankly, I want to work on that one right now, but I'm working on something else. And then after that, I did write a middle grade fantasy. So that takes place not now, not here, not in a magical kind of place, and that was fun. And then after that, I wrote this one that got the offer, and then after this one, I wrote another middle grade fantasy. No, that was the rewrite of that other one. So then at that point, I wrote another young adult contemporary. There we go. And then after that young adult contemporary, I wrote another middle grade fantasy, but that's a middle grade contemporary fantasy, so it takes place now, but it's like a Harry Pottery, Percy Jackson-y kind of thing. And then after that, I just finished writing a young adult sci-fi, and I'm really happy with that one, but it seems I had just started sending that one out when out of nowhere I got this offer on a book that I wrote like 4 books ago. So so far nobody had been interested in that young adult sci-fi. And I'm realizing this is going on really long. So what you're probably actually seeing now is a second video, because I will have cut this video in half. So we'll see how that goes. Because this will probably be like a bonus thing, like, did you really want to hear about all the intricacies of my writing? Probably not. But for those of you who do, now you've got this second video. So where was I going with that? So then, now that I finished, the funny thing is, so I had just finished I just finished writing this young adult sci-fi when I got this offer, and I was like, I'm so weird. It's like, every creative endeavor I work on, the thing that I have just finished is the thing that I'm most excited about. So yes, I love all of my manuscripts, but this young adult sci-fi, it's like, but this is my new one. This is the bright, shiny one that nobody has said no to yet. And that means everybody will say yes, and everybody will want it. And I could already imagine it like being a blockbuster movie and things like that. Ridiculous thoughts, you know? So then I was like, in a weird sort of way, slightly disappointed to get offered on such an old book of mine, because it's like, but I want this one now to be the big one that people see first. but apparently not. Anyways, the weird part of how my brain works with this whole writing thing is once I reach about the halfway point as I'm writing something, then I start thinking about what the next one is going to be, because I already have, at this point, I already had like 4 others in various states of plot figured out, and in notes on my phone of, well, there's this middle grade one that I absolutely need to write someday, so I'm definitely going to write that one. And oh, if that one middle grade ever made it big, then here's a good sequel idea for it that has totally different characters, but sort of involves some of those original characters in a little way. And then here's another young adult sci-fi that's been in my brain for a couple of years, and then here's this other young adult sci-fi, and then here's this other middle grade. And anyway, so I've got this list of all of these things that I want to write eventually, but as I'm halfway through writing whatever it is I'm writing, my brain starts obsessing over like 1 or 2 of the others, trying to figure out like, okay, when you finish this, because you're halfway done, so you're going to be done soon, when you finish this, which of those 2 are you actually going to buckle down and write? And then I love the thing that I'm writing, but in a weird sort of way, it's almost like I just want to finish writing this so that way I can get on to the next one, because I'm already excited. I've already like started figuring out like 2 others, and that's 2, and I need to. So anyways, my point is, as I was finishing writing the one that I just finished writing, I was already like figuring out 3 different books, like more fine details about each of them, and then that kind of narrowed down to 2, and then I was like, okay, so it could either be this one or this one is going to be the next one. And then out of nowhere, I was looking through my notes file, and I just saw a title that I thought would be a cool title that I wrote down in my notes file, and I was like, what would that even be? And then I just started thinking and brainstorming, and then I came up with a whole plot, and anyways, so the funny thing is that kind of took center stage and shoved the other 2 things that I was actually figuring out to the side. So now I want to start writing that one, but I won't be able to, because if I do sign with this agent, I have to devote all of my time on the edits that she's going to have. We already talked in the phone call about some of the things that she was like, well, I liked it, but here are some things that we're going to need to fix. And now she, of course, is not going to give me the fine details, because that has to happen after the contract. Otherwise, I just take her ideas and run with them. So no, that's not how that works. Instead, she has to, she kind of keeps it close to her chest, and she's like, well, I'll just tell you what she told me. She was like, well, I really like the characters. The beginning's great. The end is great. The middle is very slow. And she's right, the middle is pretty slow. It used to be even slower. The thing is, that was also some feedback I had gotten previously from a different agent, so I had already gone back and completely shuffled things around with the middle to advance the plot. I even took out a whole chapter to really move the plot faster, to be able to feel like each chapter is really pushing us forward. But she made a really good point, which is that it needs a ticking clock. Not literally a ticking clock, but there needs to be some sort of device in the plot that then you'll notice that a lot of books these days always have the main characters like, well, I really want X, but the problem is I can't have X because of Y, so I don't want to do X. But then Z happens, and so like, okay, I guess I have to do X anyway. And then they're like, oh no, but I have to do X in, Q period of time, so hopefully I'll be able to do it. And then almost all plots have, by Act 2, the end of Act 2, they fail or something like that, or it looks like they're going to fail. And then Act 3 is about them finally being able to overcome whatever that failure was to be able to complete it by that time, or maybe the rules are slightly rewritten so that even though that time has passed, they are then able to still accomplish the thing. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I swear, look at every single Disney film, look at almost all young adult books, most fantasy books, most sci-fi books, they all follow that exact same structure. And that was missing from my thing. There was no ticking clock. There was no, ooh, I need to be able to do this before this time or all is lost. It was none of that. It was really just like, well, I really want X. We'll just see if I can get around to doing that at some point. But there was no like, if I don't get it done by X point, then I'm screwed. There was just like, I just hope I can do it. Well, that's not a good ticking clock. So she was like, there needs to be a ticking clock, and I was like, you're right. This video is going really long, so, and you probably have, let's be real, you probably don't care. I just am finally excited to be able to talk about my writing. You know, the funny thing is, even when I do sign whatever contract I'm going to sign, my book will not be on the shelf for like 20 years. What am I talking about? 2 years or something like that. So, yeah. So anyways, that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one, which will be, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe an exciting update. We'll see, hopefully. Bye, guys.